parent information night video. We're trying something a little bit different this year in regards to presenting this electronically. And the teachers will be sending home their links to access their parent handbooks and their parent information evening video very soon. So just the purpose of this video is really to go through some of the things I would normally talk to you about in person when you come into the school, but we thought we'd give this a shot and see how this goes. So I will just put up my presentation here. And as you can see, Parent Information Night, 9th of February. So before I get started, I always like to start with an acknowledgement of country. So I'd just like to begin by acknowledging the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging as we continue to work together towards reconciliation as a country. So what am I going to go through with you today? Really, it's a little bit about quality Catholic education, the child safe framework. What do we have as our priorities for 2023 as a school? How does that link to our vision for learning? And finally, a bit of housekeeping in terms of communication, attendance, and I'll finish off with our code of conduct. So we want to speak a little bit about that. So what is quality Catholic education? You've chosen our school, and thank you for choosing us to support and nurture your children. It's really a framework for school improvement. So everything we do is guided by the 4 pillars under the Quality Catholic Education Framework, which is all supported by the vision of our school, which is developing a Christ-centered and child-focused community. So as you can see, the Catholic identity sits across all of our pillars, whether you are Catholic or of another denomination. We support all children who come here, and we're very proud of our Catholic identity and what we promote to our kids in terms of the gospel values. Education, community and stewardship are the other 3 pillars, which, as you can see, speaks to what we do in terms of the teaching and learning, how we support our community and how we lead in regards to leading of people. The child safe framework forms a really important part of our schooling here. It really, in terms of a Catholic school, there are really 9 elements to the child safe framework. And these 9 elements combine to provide an environment where children are supported, staff are supported, and families are supported to provide the safest possible environment for our children. So as you can see out of those 9 elements, things like policies and procedures, which you'd be aware of, risk management, investigating and reporting, which comes to our training around mandatory reporting and some other aspects of child safety, but also in terms of programs and what we deliver in the classrooms. You can see here in terms of child safe framework, the code of conduct, there's a staff code of conduct, there's a parent code of conduct, and our children have their own student code of conduct, which is written by and for our kids, which I'll talk to a little bit later in this presentation. Staff training, obviously there's training that we need to undertake in terms of making sure we provide a safe environment. And then you'd get letters from the teachers in regards to the Keeping Safe curriculum. So part of the health curriculum is really focusing on those 4 areas for children. So they know they have a right to be safe, how we form valuable relationships, recognising reporting abuse, and some protective strategies for all of them. So that Keeping Safe curriculum really runs across kindy all the way through to year 6 and is mandated to be taught in our schools. So what are our priorities for 2023? As I mentioned earlier, there are 4 pillars, and under each of the pillars, we identify a couple of things that we think we want to focus on as a school and as a community. So as you can see under Catholic identity, it's continuing to build our charism of St. Francis, but also remembering it's about who Jesus was as a person and how does St. Francis live through Jesus. Building and supporting staff with experiences of faith development. That also includes our parents in our community. Under the education pillar, in literacy, we're embedding some practices that we've developed over the last couple of years, not only in guided reading, but in terms of our science of reading and what's happening in the classrooms, and also refining our use of data to track our student progress. We've seen some great gains in the last couple of years. We're just looking at how we refine that to ensure that the data we're collecting is meaningful and purposeful. In numeracy, we've begun that journey thanks to some leaders in our school around what a effective numeracy lesson looks like and really becoming hands-on, looking at investigating, being creative and really looking at meeting the children where they're at in their numeracy learning. And you can see building a whole school's consistent approach to how we teach numeracy. In the community pillar, how do we connect with various cultures in our community? So across the last 18 months, we've received some feedback from a few of our data sources in regards to not only how we're supporting our First Nations families, but also how we're supporting the numerous cultures in our community. How do we recognise and celebrate all how multicultural we really are at St. Francis? Another aspect of community is embedding our whole school student code of conduct. I sort of touched on that earlier, the Francis 5. I'll go through those 5 and you'll hopefully start to see that become a little bit more visible around our school with our children in their language, but also what we see in our environment. Under stewardship, building staff capacity and efficacy. So that's really about that collaborative leadership and distributed leadership we have across our school. It's really a team effort. There are leaders, regardless of their titles, there are leaders across the school that support different initiatives, and it's really through their professionalism and expertise that many of these initiatives are supported and strengthened. And you would have seen through all the building going on in the school that there's a focus on increasing our access to some outdoor learning experiences. So what is our vision for learning at St. Francis? I know I talked about this last year and touched on this. It's really about those 3 things. What does the teaching look like? What does the learning look like? And really, at the heart of everything we do, what do we want our students to become? So when they leave St. Francis, what do we want for our children when they move on to high school? And I won't read through those, but you can see it's a little bit about looking at not only the teachers, but also the learning, the learners, and what we want our students to become. Just some housekeeping stuff. In regards to the operations of the school, we have a lot of information on our website in regards to things happening in the school, how we communicate with our teachers, uniform shop. But I do always ask parents to please start with the classroom teacher. I know that we won't always get everything right, and I'm sure there are times when your children come home and will explain something to you that we may not be aware of. We're not perfect. We all make mistakes, myself included many times. But please, all we talk about is starting with the classroom teacher and having an open sense of communication to be able to work through any issues or challenges or questions you might have. 9 times out of 10, most situations are resolved with some open communication between parent and staff. I ask that you use email to set up meetings or phone calls. It's very easy to become stuck to your keyboard and writing long emails, but nothing ever gets solved over email. Please just use email or Seesaw as a way to set up meetings with teachers or to have longer in-depth conversations. And as we all know, often tone can be missed on an email or a Seesaw message. Our teachers do take the time to provide a weekly memo for all parents. So please, they go out on Friday afternoons. Please have a look at them. It does tell you what's happening in the week to come and give you an idea of what's going on in the classroom in terms of the learning plus any events. Facebook, Instagram, the newsletter, they're great ways of keeping informed of what's happening across the whole school. And Seesaw, I would say if you look at your weekly class news and your Seesaw messages from your teacher, you'll know what's happening in your child's class. And if you keep an eye on Facebook and the newsletter, you'll see what's going on across the wider school. Attendance, this is really important. If your child attendance does fall below 90%, expect some contact. And that's contact in the sense from me or the teacher in regards of what's going on for your child. How do we support you or your child in making sure they have regular attendance? It's so important that kids attend school regularly. You can see from that table on the right. You can see that if a child is attending 90%, if they miss 1 day a fortnight, which equates to about 1 week a term, which is about 4 weeks a year, by the end of year 9, they've missed a whole year of schooling. You can see what happens at 80%, it becomes 1, 2, 3 years. And you can see if your child's only attending between 60 to 70%, then that's missing 2 days a week. You're missing almost a year of schooling by the end of year 3. And not only socially, academically, there are a whole other load of risks involved with that. So we ask that you please have your child attend. And if there are issues with attendance and you're going through something, please just contact the classroom teacher at the first port of call and let us know so we can try and help. It's really about helping and supporting your child to come to school. Punctuality, 8:20. I know sometimes kids can be tardy in the morning, but it's so important. Doors open at 8:20. Children are let into the classroom to get themselves settled for the day. Nothing gives a child more anxiety or stress than having to walk into a classroom of 30 children that's full and already working, and they walk in late. They're often lost. They don't know where to start. So please make the efforts to make sure that your children are in class at 8:20. Uniform, thank you so much to all the parents for the start of this year. The uniform has been fantastic. Summer uniforms, term 1 and 4, and terms 2 and 3 is winter. All our uniform requirements are on the website. If you're not sure, please get in touch with the classroom teacher. And just lastly, the last bit about parents and housekeeping is parents and friends. Our PNF are wonderful. We have a wonderful group of volunteers who support a number of things that happen in the school. Without them, the family fun nights, the icy poles, the lunch orders don't happen. So please be supportive of them. Volunteers are always needed and always welcome, whether it's cake stalls, whether you can volunteer for half an hour a year or you can volunteer weekly. It really is appreciated, and hopefully a great chance to meet other friends and parents and really build some networks. We also meet twice a term in person via Teams, so keep an eye on the calendar for that. So you can join via Teams on your laptop at home or at work, or you can attend in person, which is on a Tuesday morning. And just finally, just wanted to touch on the code of conduct again. As I mentioned, there are 12 statements that govern our responsibilities in our community. That's for us as parents and us as staff. But just as importantly, it's the student code of conduct. The children have come up with 5 ways they want to feel while they're at school. They've written these by the children and for the children, and really each of our classes will go through these with the kids. It's about partnership. Parents, staff, children working together to provide the most positive experience of primary school that we can. Those 5 things that our children have come up with, you'll hopefully see them a little bit more around the school. You hear us talk about them at assembly. That's about being welcomed. What does that look, sound, feel like? Included, happy, cared for, and safe. And each of our classrooms will have nuances to what that looks like in their year group. But I do encourage you to talk to your children about these 5 things that they want to feel and how we can relate these back to all our everyday actions and our gospel values and how Jesus would like us to conduct ourselves. That's my very short parent presentation for this year. Hopefully it's been of value to you. If you do have any other questions or you'd like to touch base, please watch the videos that'll be sent out in the coming days to your child's classroom. They will be sent out with an electronic handbook letting you know all the different processes for the class. If you're not sure, as always, please contact us, phone call, seesaw message, email, and we will respond to you as quickly as we can, given that we're all teaching. But we're really looking forward to a great year with your children. Thank you for trusting us in terms of educating your children at our school, and we look forward to seeing you around the school as the year goes on. But let's have a great 2023. Thanks, everyone.